Good afternoon, Michael, and welcome to Dr. Hyde Park here in Roscommon. Our Raw Navian has been played, and we're looking forward to the 45th championship clash between Mayo and Roscommon. Mayo have won 25 times, Roscommon 17 victories to their credit, but today, from a historical point of view, Mayo are bidding for their 40th championship title, Roscommon their 19th. The scene is set. Seamus McCormack from Walterstown Club in County Meath, who is here in Connacht for the very first time, refereeing a championship match, and it's a very historic occasion indeed for him personally as well. Seamus McCormack checks with his linesman, Niall Barish from Cork, who was in charge, of course, of the Kildare-Donegal saga last night in Newbridge, and Michael Hughes from Tyrone is the other linesman. 70 minutes to decide where the Connacht title will rest in the Leinster Trophy. This Connacht final is underway. Mayo playing against the breeze in this opening half, and it's quite strong down at pitch level. Centre half back is Francie Graham. John Hanley operating very deep in the opening few minutes to try and gather valuable possession. Jerry Lohan trying to turn inside, but overdid it, and that's going to be a free for Mayo. Captain Noel Kennelly, for the fourth year in the role of captain of his county side. There's a great buzz around Roscommon town, and indeed around Castlereagh this morning, where there were driving cars and hooting horns in the early hours of the morning in anticipation of this Connacht final. Joining me in the commentary position here is Martin Carney. Great buzz around Hyde Park.
Wonderful atmosphere actually, both here in the park and in the town and in the county at the moment. And just in relation to the game, one little change to kind of bring to you the attention. Maurice Sheridan has gone into the corner, and Stephen Carlin it is who's playing full forward for Mayo.
First choice goalkeeper since 1997, Peter Burke from Kilchamaugh. Noel Kennelly going in hard in the challenge, feeding James Nallen. It's a great ball down towards Stephen Carolyn. Well won back, however. Francie Graham with that now very famous left boot, giving it to his colleague in the half back line, Paul Noon. The opposite number 7 is again Noel Kennelly. Again, the play very much at this side of the field in the early moments. Nobody really able to open up the play. Perhaps Kieran MacDonald will be able to do that once he wins clean possession. The sideline kick is by Francie Graham. Given away. This is Colin McMiniman. Picking up the loose ball, Trevor Mortimer. A new hairstyle this afternoon for this Connacht final. Roscommon defensively sturdy and strong. Mortimer punching it down. Getting it up for his right half forward, James Gill. Maurice Sheridan is fouled, and that's going to be a free for Mayo. Left corner back Michael Ryan seems to have picked up an injury. He's a player that's been dogged by injury over the last few years. Normally plays as a half-back. They came in for Martin Raftery the last day. Here's the exchanges again. And unfortunately for Michael Ryan, came out the worst of it, and it is that old ankle problem.
Yes, I think he went over in the ankle actually as he came down that time, but it's interesting to see that he's been brought back into the corner to mark Marty McNicholas, and in the first two balls that that have got in there, he's won both of them.
So the first scoreable opportunity so far here in Hyde Park falls to a man who made such a dramatic impact in the semi-final against Sligo when introduced at half-time. went on to score 5 points, then travelled to Tuam and scored 7 points in the Galway Championship against Salt Hill. This is his first free. This is his first white. Scoreable enough opportunity for Maurice Sheridan, and I'm sure for Maurice he'll be a little bit disappointed.
Yes, it was on his right side also, and it's something that he normally would get, but again, every player will have a certain amount of tension at this stage of a game, and I suppose that's one of the things. The opening has been characterised by a lot of scrappy play on both sides.
That ball rolls all the way down, out over the sideline. Pat Fallon, playing in his 5th Connacht Championship final. Francie Graham. Defenders winning on both sides at the moment. Ray Kennelly feeding Alan Roach. In a positional switch before the game in the selection, Ray Kennelly's availability meant that Alan Roach could be transferred to right half back. And of course, Gary Ruan came in for Tom Nallen. Again, passes going astray, not making for very attractive football. It is, however, a line ball for Roscommon. Gary Ruan. That ball sliding all the way through far as John Hanley. Fergal O'Donnell is available. So too is Dennis Gavin. Transferring it over towards this side. Picking up the loose ball is Conor Kennelly. Going through. First points. Almost on the stroke of the 6th minute of the game. Conor Kennelly, who plays his club football with St Jude's in Dublin. Of course, is a native of Michael Glavy's in Ballinlough in County Roscommon.
And again, the Mayo uncertainty under the high ball coming in is probably what caused that point. It broke out and Kennelly took the score very well.
Roscommon, of course, playing with wind advantage, will be hoping to pump that ball in to Jerry Lohan, Nigel Deneen and Frankie Dolan as often as possible. This is very good play by Roscommon. Francie Graham setting up John Hanley, stepping aside the challenge of Kennelly, and that is gone over the bar. In the space of a minute, Roscommon get 2 points from play, both from half forwards. Kennelly first, now Hanley. And Francie Graham's dash from the centre half back position is beginning already to pose a few problems for Mayo.
Yeah, so far he's winning the duel with Kieran MacDonald, and he's winning every breaking ball and setting up his forwards to great advantage.
Fine kick out by Peter Burke. Stephen Lohan. Noel Kennelly once again. Intelligent ball. Transferring it over to the far wing where James Gill is available. Inside for Stephen Carolan. And fine defending, but Carolan won the possession back. But he fouled the Roscommon man, so that's going to be a free to the home side. Quickly taken for John Hanley. Foul by Pat Fallon.
It's interesting tactically, John Hanley is actually drifting into the middle of the field and causing the space in front of the front forward line.
Nigel Deneen. Ball well won back by Ray Kennelly, and that's going to be a free to Mayo. Peter Burke. with this free. A little bit of pushing by Fergal O'Donnell, and cedes the free to Mayo. Kieran MacDonald just questioning the strength of the ball, but referee says no, it's fine. So MacDonald takes the free and sends it over the bar. 9 minutes and 16 seconds for Mayo to get on the scoreboard, and it comes from a place ball and the boot of Kieran MacDonald. Breaking ball. Colin McMenamin collided with James Nallen, and Nallen is coming out the worst of it at the moment. Meanwhile, it is Trevor Mortimer with the ball. And again, Noel Kennelly comes to the rescue with a terrible pass from Trevor Mortimer. Setting up Kieran MacDonald, who flicks it forward for Stephen Carolan. Roscommon are exposed here, but unfortunately, the ball is still loose. Carolan lost possession, and consequently, Roscommon regained it.
Yeah, there were huge attacking possibilities there for Mayo had Carolan let the ball off to MacDonald that time.
Fergal O'Donnell leading his side from midfield. Pumping it in long. Gary Ruad trying to get there. Last man to touch it was a Roscommon player. And that's going to be a kick out for Peter Burke. James Nallen, as you can see, has recovered from that knock, and Pat Holmes was a little bit concerned about the fact that Roscommon looks so dangerous going forward, and particularly Francie Graham. Great catch. Seamus O'Neill, who played brilliantly against Galway. Referee Seamus McCormack, I'm sure, is going to give this as a throw ball, as he indicates. So stepping into line in front of him is the number 9 there, Seamus O'Neill, and James Gill. But he throws it the other way over towards Pat Fallon and Fergal O'Donnell. It's Kieran MacDonald that wins the breaking ball. John White. Conor Kennelly. Bit optimistic, to say the least. Ray Kennelly intercepts. Colin McMenamin given a lot of space, and Michael Ryan missed the ball completely. Derek Thompson will change the direction of the play now by using Clifford MacDonald.
Pressure, come on!
Has to be calling, and there was no call between Ray Kennelly and Kevin Cowell, but it's a poor ball inside and easily gathered.
Yeah, it must be said in general, both teams are trying to test out the respective full back lines, and both full forward lines, so both full back lines are actually coming out on top at the moment. Mayo have got nothing from the full forward line, and the two cornerbacks that Mayo have brought in are doing very well inside.
James Nallen gives it to Pat Fallon. Maurice Sheridan operating in the corner, but very much out around the Roscommon 45 at the moment. He's fouled for a push in the back, so it's going to be a free for Sheridan. Marty McNicholas is making the run, but he uses Mortimer instead. Alan Roach now gets involved. Pat Fallon pumping it in towards James Gill, but he's unable to keep it in. You can see that both midfielders and indeed half-backs are trying to spray that ball out towards the wings, but it's really not working. Defensively, Mayo and Roscommon are on top.
Well, the plan A from both teams seems to be to try and get the ball into the full forward lines, but so far both full back lines are actually dominant in every respect. And you know, Marty McNicholas has been tried a couple of times, but Michael Ryan has won those duels. Stephen Carlin has been well blotted out by John White. So on the other side is the same thing. Mayo full back line doing well.
This is Alan Roach. James Nallen. Pat Fallon is also an option. Great running off the ball by Trevor Mortimer as Stephen Carlin wins possession. He uses Mortimer here. Ball across the face of the goal. Knocked away from Marty McNicholas by Michael Ryan. We're well aware, Roscommon, of McNicholas's left foot, but the referee, I think absolutely correctly, maintains that Marty McNicholas over-carried, took too many steps, so it's a free out to Roscommon.
Yes, indeed, a good call by the referee.
Foul on Conor Kennelly, so it's going to be a free for Roscommon. Just a few meters inside the Mayo half of the field now. Remember, Roscommon playing with the breeze. That's a fine catch by Ray Kennelly. And certainly Pat Holmes has been vindicated in changing his two corner backs for this Connacht final. The performance of Gary Ruan and Ray Kennelly so far has tightened up the green and red defensively. Noel Kennelly again spraying that ball cross field towards Maurice Sheridan. Nice run here by Trevor Mortimer, and he manages to squeeze it over the bar. Level for the first time in Hyde Park. After two fine scores in the 6th and 7th minute for Roscommon, it took 15, almost 16 minutes for Mayo to find the equaliser. Good interplay and a very good finish by Trevor Mortimer.
Yes, and must be said, Trevor Mortimer is working very hard. Of the 6 Mayo forwards at the moment, he's the one who's really putting himself about. Now there's a great reward for the work he's been putting in.
Roscommon man down on the deck off the ball, but we continue on with the play. This is James Nallen. Michael Ryan intercepts. This is Jerry Lohan. Look how deep he is now playing to try and win possession. Easy ball for Kevin Cahill. Playing on this Mayo side since 1993. James Gill. Kieran MacDonald. Mayo going through a period of dominance. He has Martin McNicholas available. This is McNicholas. Roscommon there in numbers. We have the situation under control, if only temporarily. It's not very pretty. But Roscommon get the initiative by taking the free, but the referee won't allow it. This is Michael Ryan that has picked up an injury, and this is Seamus O'Neill, who of course had a great game, scored 2 points against Galway. And there beside him is Dr. Martin Daly from Ballygar, who's the doctor here for some time with the Roscommon team. Actually won't be 19 until Christmas.
No, he's certainly made a huge impact coming on to the Roscommon team, the last against Galway, and it was wonderful here in an under-21 game against Mayo last spring. But just going back to the game in general, the standard so far has been very disappointing. Very poor passing, bad handling, and too many unforced errors actually to make it any kind of a worthwhile spectacle.
So both Michael Ryan and Seamus O'Neill are back in action. Trevor Mortimer, Colin McMenamin, Pat Fallon, plenty of support. Kieran MacDonald given an awful amount of space. And for a class forward like Kieran MacDonald, Roscommon must be wondering on this occasion, where was Francie Graham? Terrible barking by Roscommon, but Mayo lead now. After 18 and a half minutes, they lead for the first time. But look at the options they had here. They had Fallon, they had McMenamin, and finally with MacDonald, And with all the time in the world, he easily found the target. Conor Kennelly. Nigel Deneen. Roscommon full forward line are now actually roaming around midfield to try and win possession and become more involved. Fergal O'Donnell gets a boot to it. But again, because of that, the sucking out of the Roscommon full forward line, when the ball goes in, there's actually nobody there. Pass goes astray. Fergal O'Donnell coming through the middle. Nigel Deneen is available here. A chance for Deneen and a great save by Peter Burke. Jerry Lohan floats this in. It goes off a Mayo man, and that's going to be a 45. Alan Roach obviously just getting a touch.
Yes, and all that came about with Colin McMenamin misplacing a clearance when he had 3 men available to his outside. And to be fair, Roscommon should have made more of that chance because they had 2 or 3 men inside that time, where a goal certainly was on and they should have at least scored a point.
Colin McMenamin has in fact been shown a yellow card, and the referee obviously having a word with him after that sequence of play. The first 45 of the match for Roscommon, driven in by Jerry Lohan, and straight over the bar. In 2 games, this man has scored 6 points, 5 against New York and 1 against Galway. But his overall contribution is certainly noteworthy. The kick out by Peter Burke. Tries this wing where Colin McMenamin is first to the ball. Good work by Stephen Carolan. Seems to be performing rather well in the corner rather than on the wing. Morris Sheridan needed James Nallen. Back to Trevor Mortimer. Good defending. Comes back towards Kieran MacDonald. It's a very good ball. Carolan again on the rebound, trying to sneak inside, uses Trevor Mortimer. Roscommon must not foul. They know that Morris Sheridan is playing at full forward. That ball is sent over the bar. Stephen Carolan. But Mayo look exceptionally dangerous at the moment, although they're not inclined to open it up. They're playing very much one-dimensional down the left flank. But with Mortimer and Carolan, it's paying dividends.
Well, certainly that was a good score for Carolan, but it must be said the score was laboured. Like, there was an awful lot of passing that went into that, but eventually the finish was very good from Carolan.
James Nallen sweeping the breaking ball from a centre-back position. Francie Grehan has to go back. Lovely pick-up by Marty McNicholas. Nice skill. Can he finish this? That is over the bar. Beautiful to watch, a fresh new talent emerging from the underage ranks. Scored 4 points against Sligo in the semi-final, all from play, and he scores his first in the Connacht final. Mayo certainly have settled at the moment. They're experiencing a period of dominance that is actually reflected on the scoreboard. Noel Kennelly fouling blatantly, leaning on the Roscommon man, John Hanley. Conor Kennelly looking around for the options. This is John Hanley. very much made the centre forward position his own during the league campaign. This in his first championship season, and he wins a 45. Johnny Tobin there, along with Frank Grehan Sr. and Jimmy Finnegan, thinking perhaps about changing the formation of their team just slightly. I'm sure they'll wait for this 45 to be taken by Jerry Lohan. This is his second of the game, but this a little bit more difficult. Paul Noon, back to Jerry Lohan. Great defending by Trevor Mortimer. But the pass goes astray from Noel Kennelly. Jerry Lohan. Referee wisely allows the play to continue. Fires Frankie Dolan. Fine point by Frankie Dolan. We saw him in the semi-final going down with damaged shoulder ligaments. He's been very much a doubtful starter, but when he's playing well, Roscommon flags are usually blowing in the breeze.
And again, it must be said that's the second of the Roscommon points that have come due to an unforced error in the Mayo backline of overplaying the ball and misplacing the passes coming out.
And that was a pass from Noel Kennelly, who's playing very well, it must be said, at left half back.
He's playing outstanding football at the moment, actually, and as is Kieran MacDonald, by the way.
McMiniman was the first to react to the breaking ball. Marty McNicholas unable to keep it in. Well, that's going to be a kick out for Derek Thompson.
Yeah, one of the factors that was so obvious the last day was that Frankie Grehan at centre half back had an outstanding game for Roscommon against Galway. Today he's having difficulty with Kieran MacDonald, who a lot of people don't realise is an extremely strong man, apart from being a very good football, and his confidence seems to be up today, which is encouraging for Mayo.
And Francie Grehan had a very good start as well. It's Mayo again, but they lose possession. Conor Kennelly. Remember, Roscommon are playing with the breeze, but unable to maximise it yet. Trevor Mortimer, James Nallen. Pumping it into the centre, where Fergal O'Donnell reacts. Wins possession. Clifford MacDonald. In towards Stephen Lohan, who is fouled. Kevin Carroll pleads his innocence. But Stephen Lohan seems now to have drifted into the full forward position, which is much better area for him. He's more of a full forward than a wing forward, and I would imagine Roscommon would be anxious to pump the ball in long and see if they could expose Kevin Carroll. This is a free to the left of the post, going to be taken by Jerry Lohan after Fergal O'Donnell, the Roscommon captain, gets some medical attention. This is the ball that went in towards Stephen Lohan. And
that's a very hard call in Kevin Carroll.
It is a very hard call, yes, as the free is taken and sent over the bar. Level for the third time in Dr. Hyde Park. Roscommon have crawled back to level this match. Noel Kennelly. All for the quick kick out. Comes to James Gill. Kieran MacDonald is to his left, so too is Trevor Mortimer. Good work by Francie Grehan. Gives it to Fergal O'Donnell. Stephen Lohan pushes away the challenge of Kevin Carroll, and that is over the bar. This was the game plan from the beginning. Pump the ball in quick, fast and effective. Feed Stephen Lohan since he's transferred into that full forward spot, and expose the Mayo full back line.
Yes, I think the two brothers have switched in the last 5 minutes or so. Stephen has gone in full forward. Jerry is now playing at left half forward, being marked by Alan Roach.
Alan Roach. Jerry Lohan. Shows that he's only challenging with one hand. The referee did not like the challenge on Marty McNicholas. So he's going to give a free virtually in front of the post. And also gives a finger wagging to Michael Ryan. Didn't actually give him a yellow card, but he certainly noted his name. Maurice Sheridan, native of Ball, now of course with Salt Hill. Missed an earlier free. This is possibly an easier one, but he sends it wide. Well, I really didn't expect him to miss that one because it was in front of the post, and for a man of his caliber and talent, it should have been sent straight over.
Yeah, that's most unlike Maurice Sheridan. He was picked for this game basically to take the place kicks, and they're normally food and drink to him. But that's two bad misses for him, and it's certainly, they'll probably affect his confidence.
James Nallen. Nallen and Kennelly are doing so well for Mayo. Kieran McDonald. Turning John Hanley in and out. Trevor Mortimer flicking it on beautifully for Maurice Sheridan. Marty McNicholas coming through. There was a boost there for Maurice Sheridan, by no means dirty, but he was trying to get to the ball, and it's a free for Roscommon. They want the ball in long, in towards Francie Graham, who's crept inside the Mayo cover. This is Graham. Remember, he used play at centre half forward, but under John Tobin has been drafted back to centre half back. But Frankie Dolan, well, he was being very optimistic because the wind is blowing, might be in his favour, but blowing towards the far over corner.
Yes, it's more crossfield than anything else, even though it's going left to right, but it's kind of diagonal really into the far corner. But it must be said in general, the game really hasn't taken off yet. I think both teams are still nervous. They haven't sorted each other out, and you'd hope in the second half that the game would open up a little bit more.
Jerry Lohan gives it inside to Seamus O'Neill. Hit powerfully, but more importantly, hit accurately. The star of the semi-final, the RTE man of the match, in fact, in that memorable game against Galway, puts Roscommon 2 points in front. Breaking ball, so vital, and it falls Mayo's way. Trevor Mortimer, lovely chip up to Noel Kennelly, but it's well wide. Lovely piece of skill, though.
Beautiful piece of skill by Mortimer, who probably is the best of the Mayo forward line at the moment. But it must be said, Roscommon are on top of midfield for the last 10 minutes. It is in that time Mayo haven't scored, actually. And a couple of the last score by Seamus O'Neill, in fact, was probably the score of the day so far.
2 minutes extra time now has been announced by the fourth official. James Nallen again. Nice little chip up to Maurice Sheridan. Takes the free quickly. Down this wing again to Marty McNicholas. Skips away from the challenge of Michael Ryan. Kieran McDonald is available, but the pass was slightly behind him. Gets it out far as Maurice Sheridan. I'm not too sure that was a throw or not, but it doesn't matter because the ball is well wide.
Come on, Deneen.
Some of the young players in this Mayo side are certainly sparkling. McNicholas, Trevor Mortimer and Stephen Carolan in particular. John Tobin, the Roscommon manager, has just instructed Jerry Lohan to make a switch, and we'll follow that in a moment. And there's Jerry Lohan now, back around centre field, pumping it in long towards his brother Stephen. The ball is loose and it's free for Roscommon, but in there again is Trevor Mortimer. Look at the options now. There's 2 Mayo players down off the ball, and the referee correctly has called for attention for both Kevin Cahill and Ray Kennelly. And the Roscommon player is John Hanley. But he's back on his feet, but the two boys rightly collided into each other. Let's just watch this again as that ball broke. And the 2 Mayo players in the full back line went down.
I'd say the one most likely to be injured there is Ray Kennelly, because he's only back from a broken collarbone today. It's his first competitive game actually since breaking his collarbone the week after the National League final, so there'll be grave concern about that, I'd say.
This is the incident again as the players were colliding. Oh no, that was in fact the Trevor Mortimer and John Hanley incident, and John Hanley went down there. And as you can see, the Mayo players still requiring some medical attention. Dr. Declan Clinton is in there from Crossmolina, now based in Ballycastle. Dr. Nevio, the former president of the GA, Dr. Mick Loftus, a very dedicated Mayo football fan. And John Tobin has called Seamus O'Neill aside. As you can see, Kevin Cahill and Peter Burke just having a chat, and Pat Holmes now going in to check that Kevin Cahill is okay. Dr. Clinton is giving him the okay to resume at full back. A player born in Philadelphia in the US of A, playing his club football with Ballahadureen. This is going to be a throw ball in the just inside the Mayo 65-metre line. And again, it's Noel Kennelly. Trevor Mortimer, whose work rate is most impressive. James Nallen, Kieran MacDonald. Nallen going for the return. But the pass goes astray, and very good covering by Paul Noon. John Hanley. Roscommon forwards wanted in very fast, in towards Stephen Lohan. Leaves it behind him. Kevin Cahill has the assistance of Gary Ruan, as well as Pat Fallon. Free quickly taken to Alan Roach. Seems a lot happier at wing back than a cornerback, which we saw in the semi-final against Sligo. Michael Ryan. Hit a fairly hefty challenge by Marty McNicholas. The players getting on with it. Again, Trevor Mortimer was rather unlucky not to win the ball there ahead of Jerry Lohan. Paul Noon from Roscommon Gales. Kevin Cahill, first to the ball. That's a high challenge by Conor Kennelly. And that's going to be, I'm sure, a yellow card for the Roscommon number 10. Once more, Kevin Cahill in the wars and in trouble. A yellow card on its way for the number 10. So we now have a yellow card for Colin McMenamin of Mayo and a yellow card for Conor Kennelly. And again, Kevin Cahill is able to go back to mark Stephen Lohan, as Peter Burke is going to take the free.
Indeed, Kevin Cahill would be very pleased with his performance up to date, because he was very poor in both the National League final and the first game against Sligo, but he's playing well today.
We've now played 38 minutes, as you can see there in your clock, but I'm sure there'll now be injury time as well added on. James Gale brought down. And the referee is going to, I'm sure, have a word again with Clifford MacDonald. A little bit of unnecessary agitation from Alan Roach getting involved. And Clifford MacDonald is in fact being spoken to by the referee. Move to wing back from the centre-back position once Francie Graham was transferred and transformed into a centre-back when John Tobin took over. It's Kieran MacDonald again. Hits it very high and inaccurately. The free taking will be a major disappointment to Mayo.
Yes, it's normally one of their strong points, but that's 3 place kicks they've put wrong, and the 3 place kickers have been the 2 experienced players, MacDonald and Sheridan.
Well, after 39 minutes of play here in Dr. Hyde Park, it's a most interesting rather than exciting tussle with, as Martin Carney mentioned a while ago, we're hoping for a better second half. Kieran MacDonald has contributed 2 points to his team's tally. Francie Graham's role is so important to try and keep MacDonald at bay, but did well in the opening stages, but then seemed to fade. And here at Dr. Hyde Park, Roscommon, it's the home side leading by 2 points. Roscommon 7, Mayo 5.
Come on, Mayo.
Don't go back, we're going to put you out there. Steer there, all right?
Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome back to Hyde Park. No changes on either side at half-time. Although, as Michael and Cullum and Tony did mention, David Brady was warming up here at half-time. Here's a chance now for Paul Noon. Good block down again by Trevor Mortimer. I'm very impressed with Trevor Mortimer today. His work rate is superb.
Well, certainly his work rate and his urgency is superb, and it should be able to inspire those around him.
I mean, for a left half forward to be back there, marking the number 7, who had gone into a forward position, and force the 45.
Yes, it seems to be his role on the team where he forages around the middle of the park and leaves 5 forwards up front.
So the very first 45 of the second half. The third for Roscommon. Going to be taken by Jerry Lohan. No great running, as you can see from our camera behind the goalpost off the ball. Just drive it in. Seems to be the tactic. Nigel Dineen forced to drive it wide, but the referee overrules the umpire. Good refereeing, because the umpire obviously didn't spot it as well, so compliments to Seamus McCormack to have spotted it. So we now have the fourth 45 of the match for Roscommon. You mightn't look it on your television screens or indeed from that shot of the crowd, but there's quite a strong breeze favouring Mayo in this second half. Jerry Lohan. Good work by Pat Fallon, forcing him back towards his own half. Clifford MacDonald. Scoreable position. And he sends it to the left and wide. Fourth wide of the game for Roscommon. Whatever about the quality of the game, the shooting certainly by Roscommon, nobody can fault 4 wides. That'll give you an idea of the wind here in Hyde Park. It's quite strong. And that is favouring Mayo now for the next 35 minutes. Trevor Mortimer flicking it on. Ferris Morris Sheridan uses James Nalla. Changes the direction of the play over towards this wing. Comes back to James Gill. That's well wide. Bit of a lame attempt after all that nice build-up.
A lame attempt, and I must say that the forwards in that case had an awful lot of room. There was very poor marking actually by the Roscommon backs in that case, and Gill should have scored it.
Pat Holmes there must be very disappointed with the creativity up front at the moment.
Yeah, but creativity, and a lack of creativity, but a lack of urgency actually. Apart from Trevor Mortimer, there's nobody injecting something into the game.
Absolutely. Great catch by Seamus O'Neill. Over towards Conor Kennelly. With him, Noel Kennelly. Back to Seamus O'Neill once more. Kennelly wanted the return. The cross is not a good one. It's not even a cross or a shot at goal either. Most disappointing. And the crowd, as you can see, not exactly vociferous, not exactly excited.
No, they haven't got animated at all
No.
throughout the game, but there's nothing really to actually excite them.
Nobody running off the ball for Peter Burke, and the referee is now getting a little bit impatient, so he's no other option but to kick it right down the middle. Pat Fallon flicks it on to Kieran MacDonald. Changes again the direction, but it's a sweet ball into Stephen Carolan. Good defending by Roscommon. But MacDonald has that brain and that vision to see players in very good positions. This time it was Stephen Carolan. So 45 for Mayo.
That was a wonderful pass from MacDonald into Carlin, but you must credit the goalkeeper Derek Thompson for narrowing the angle there and bringing off that save. And this is a big kick actually for Maurice Sheridan.
Well, considering the fact that he's missed two very scoreable frees, this, it must be said, he's a 45. Wind to his back. It's crucial for Maurice Sheridan and indeed for Mayo. Gets well underneath it and hits it over the bar. His confidence no doubt boosted by that kick. We can expect a little bit more now from Maurice Sheridan in the second half, perhaps. Just 1 point between the teams.
It is noticeable that Maurice Sheridan is going out into the half-forward line, leaving McNichols and Carlin in the inside line.
And it's a tactic that could work because the two boys have been performing most impressively. Free is to Mayo. Mayo playing a two-man full forward line at the moment. Oh, it's a terrible challenge on James Gill. And Clifford MacDonald, who has seen a yellow card earlier, could be in trouble here for a second bookable offence. And there's a second yellow card and a first red card of the match. Roscommon are down to 14 men. It was a messy, terrible challenge on James Gill. He arrived late, caught him around by the neck, and really the referee was correct in his decision.
Yeah, it was a clumsy tackle more than a vicious tackle, and probably it was a bookable offence, but having been booked earlier, he had to be sent off.
So now, strategically, John Tobin, the Roscommon manager, has to alter his plans. And it's going to be a very interesting game plan because he's a very shrewd judge of football, but he is at a major disadvantage. Against the wind, down numerically.
Yeah, and strategically Mayo have to reorganise also, and it's Pat Holmes' job now as to who to give the extra man role to. That's going to be equally as important because history shows 14 men do better than 15 in Gaelic football for whatever reason.
The spirit of Roscommon is going to be tested. This is a test for the accuracy of Maurice Sheridan. And that's the angle from behind the goalposts. Curls it in and sends it over the bar. The misses of the first half are well forgotten with two excellent frees. That brings Mayo and Roscommon level for the fourth time. 7 points each. Pat Fallon, fine catch, putting it in towards Stephen Carolan, whose jersey was well pulled by John White. It's Kieran MacDonald now. Gets away from one challenge. The support is there from McMenamin, who kicks it high and sends it over the bar. It's his first in the Connacht final, but Mayo experiencing a period of dominance at the moment now.
Yes, it's vital for Roscommon that can reorganise now and get a little bit of spirit back, get the ball around the middle of the field and start probably making use of the short game, because you have to play possession football if you're down to 14 men. And that style of game should suit them, actually.
This is Seamus O'Neill. Look at the support he has to his left. Goes for the shot, deflected off a Mayo defender, and that's out for a 45. But that was great confidence by young O'Neill, because he had Nigel Deneen, but he actually went for the goal.
And I don't think Frankie Dolan is one bit pleased, because he's gone back to Seamus O'Neill just to tell him the ball should have been given off.
And indeed, if we see that replay again, you'll see there were two Roscommon players available to his left.
Yes, very often it's the onus is on the team that has the 15 men to respond to the tactics that the actual team that's down to 14 adapts to a particular game.
We can tell you that Michael Moyles will be introduced very shortly for James Gale, who's going off. That challenge from Clifford MacDonald seemed to inflict an injury. He's limping as Michael Moyles from Crossmolina comes on. He usually plays at centre field. This is a very important kick for Jerry Lohan now. That's the view behind the goalposts. He fails to send it over the crossbar. The sheer spirit and passion of Roscommon that we saw in Tuam that afternoon will now have to be reignited, because Mayo have numerical advantage. It's 15 against 14, and Mayo have wind advantage. That's a rather clumsy challenge, a push, which will mean it's going to be a 13-metre line, as that man wonders, is it going to be Mayo or Roscommon's day? Players move in around the goalposts as Maurice Sheridan sets himself up. It's a difficult angle again. Seems to have shortened that style of free-taking considerably. And that particular shot proved a little bit too much for him on this occasion. 3 free attempts have gone wide for Maurice Sheridan, but he did, however, to his credit, get 2 since the start of the second half. Derek Thompson's kick out. Punch down again. Comes to Francie Graham. Mayo players there, 4 or 5 players chasing and harassing. And it's Francie again that goes for the return. And here's Trevor Mortimer chasing again. It's a good ball, opens up the play. Over towards Frankie Dolan. That just goes to the right and wide. Frankie's inclined this afternoon to rush his efforts at goal just a little bit too much, perhaps.
Yes, he needs to be attacking the defender in that case. He's a little bit far out. There is a good wind against him, but again, the confidence may not be there because of the shoulder injury that he took into the game.
Seamus O'Neill, fouled by Colin McMenamin. Free quickly taken over towards Jerry Lohan. Stephen Lohan is to his right, but he has to go this way due to the close tackling of Kevin Cahill. Challenge on Ray Kennelly was a little bit late. This is Michael Moyles now. Ray Kennelly. Marty McNicholas doing well to keep it in. Good defending by Michael Ryan. Feeds Francie Graham. Seamus O'Neill is in the middle. This is Stephen Lohan. Conor Kennelly, the short passing game. Now seems to be the game plan to hold possession. Kennelly in a little bit of bother here. He's being pushed out towards the corner flag. Very good defending by Colin McMiniman. A chance for Dennis Gavin. But it's gone down the main street of Roscommon Town and certainly not over the crossbar.
No, as you said there, Marty, the tackling has been outstanding throughout the field by Mayo. They may not be particularly, they're not playing particularly well and mightn't be too pleasing in the eye, but they're working very, very hard. The quality of their tackling is what has them in front at the moment.
Johnny Tobin again is thinking about making an alteration. Gary Cox, who came on the last day against Galway and really impressed. Some pushing again as Roscommon try to make an impression, particularly in the forward line, and it looks like Nigel Deneen that might be coming off for Roscommon. It's a disappointing afternoon for Nigel Deneen because he's scored 2 goals and 4 points in 2 games for Roscommon in the championship, and he was seen before the game as a major threat from a Mayo perspective. So obviously Johnny Tobin has seen that it just wasn't going to be Deneen's day. So can Gary Cox make an impression? Francie Graham will try once more from a centre-back position. Feeds Jerry Lohan. And again it's Trevor Mortimer that's back there. And the ball is put off a Mayo man and out for a 45. But wonderful defending. It's not pretty, it's not very enjoyable, but full marks to Mayo, particularly people like Trevor Mortimer, who's back in a defensive role.
Yes, of great urgency, heart and spirit, but one player I'd like to credit in the Roscommon team who's trying to lift them at the moment is Francie Graham. He's attacking at every opportunity and trying to bring other players into the game and lift their spirits.
Roscommon are also thinking about introducing Don Connellan, and he will get a huge reception from his own people here in Roscommon Town. Meanwhile, it's Frankie Dolan, scorer of 3 goals and 3 points in 2 games for Roscommon. Hits this. Straight over the bar. Frankie Dolan's 2nd point of the match. And the sides level again for the 5th time. And despite Mayo's numerical dominance, it's not reflected on the scoreboard. Long ball up towards Marty McNicholas. Good defending by Michael Ryan, who's coming to grips more and more with the threat of Marty McNicholas.
Again, the long high ball into McNicholas isn't the ball that suits him because of his height, and Michael Ryan won that very well from in front.
Conor Kennelly did well because Kevin Cahill was right beside him. Fergal O'Donnell. Good work by Kevin Cahill. Well swept up by Pat Fallon. Kieran MacDonald. The running off the ball by Maurice Sheridan is impressive, but it's too slow of a delivery as Mayo still try to work it at the far side. Kieran MacDonald. That's a great point. Held possession well. Good interplay. And the finish matched all of that approach work.
Yes, indeed, you have to credit him in that case. He was both the creator and the executor of that. Took the ball on, wanted it, played the 1-2 at Mortimer, a great score.
is aimed at Conor Kennelly. Trevor Mortimer sending it in towards Marty McNicholas. Roscommon slightly exposed if the ball is sent across, but it's not a very good pass from Maurice Sheridan. In front of the posts, and the white flag is raised again. His third point of the match. Simply played, executed brilliantly.
Yes, and Mayo are spreading the game out at the moment. They're playing it into the corners. McNicholas won that ball very, very well. Played it back, and a lovely score from Maurice Sheridan.
Great kick out by Derek Thompson, and a fabulous catch by Fergal O'Donnell. Frankie Dolan, it's a better ball for him. Cuts inside the Mayo cover. Great running by Dolan, still Dolan! This is the sort of football we were looking forward to in the Connacht final. And just now, the game is living up to our pre-match expectations. Great score by Frankie Dolan. He took on at least 6 defenders there and brought Roscommon to just within 1 point. This is Dolan going through, and he really wanted to test out Peter Burke, but just took over the crossbar.
Yes, and if ever a score was tailor-made to lift a team, it was that one from Frankie Dolan. Super score.
Don Connellan is now introduced for Stephen Lohan. And Stephen Lohan is a very good player, but has had a disappointing Connacht final. And they'll be hoping now that Connellan will add a little bit more firepower to the Roscommon attack. Dennis Gavin. They have to hold possession as much as possible with these free kicks. So there has to be a lot more running off the ball. It's Conor Kennelly, and it's Francie Graham. Floating it in, Frankie Dolan started behind his man, but got there in front of him. Has to let it go, but there's nobody there to support him outside, and it's an easy pickup for Mayo. Colin McMenamin. That's a terrible ball.
Yes, but interesting looking at that. There are 6 Roscommon players in their own half the field. No Mayo forward in there at all. Mayo have got all behind the ball at the moment. They need to start regaining their shape.
Just at the moment, actually, although you can't see it from that particular shot, there's only, well, now there are 2 Mayo forwards inside the Roscommon 45-metre line. They seem to have just lost their shape temporarily, as Colin McMenamin is back there helping out his defence. Gary Ruan gets it out for us, James Nalla. Here's Kieran McDonald now. They'll use the long ball, surely. But it again falls to Michael Ryan. Pass was not a good one for Marty McNicholas. Francie Graham. This is very good play by Roscommon, but they need to finish now. Good ball up towards Gary Cox. Needs the support outside. It's big Seamus O'Neill. Floats it in over the bar. His second point of the day. Level for the 6th time. Every time you think Mayo are going to stretch ahead, Roscommon claw them back.
Yes, and you must credit Francie Graham again for initiating that move, the way he took the ball on, gave the pass, which eventually ended up with O'Neill, who scored a marvellous point. But the marking of the Mayo team is very, very lax at the moment, in particular around their half-forward line.
Looks like David Nestor is going to be introduced from Mayo, and the man that's going to be coming off is Stephen Carolan. And Stephen Carolan had a very good first half, but obviously Mayo, and you can see an off-the-ball incident here. Frankie Dolan, Peter Burke were having an exchange, and the umpires have waved to the referee to come in. Now, this could be a very delicate matter for the referee, because he may feel perhaps that this may require a sending off and thus balance the game numerically. Let's see. The referee has gone in, and there's still a lot of pushing and shoving going on between Don Connellan and Kevin Cahill. Gary Ruan is now there. Meanwhile, the referee is having a consultation with his umpires, as you can see now. And Seamus McCormack has done a very good job, and the umpires and his linesmen have been a very good team effort here today. So let's see what their decision is going to be. This is the incident again now. Peter Burke was coming out here, Frankie Dolan, and it was a push from Ray Kennelly. No striking at all, just a push, and Frankie Dolan playing it up to the maximum. And he's having a word with Ray Kennelly. Seamus McCormack doesn't have the advantage of action replay, only a consultation with his umpires. And I was sure it was going to be just a yellow card, was what I was going to say, but that is a straight red card for Ray Kennelly. And I have to say, looking at the replay, it is harsh on Ray Kennelly. Frankie Dolan was shoved away. He didn't feel a belt, although he's holding his jaw. But looking at that replay, it seemed to be a little bit of play acting by Frankie Dolan as well.
I think it's sad to see players trying to get other players sent off, and in that case I think there's a clear example of that. Frankie was certainly pushed, but I don't think he was struck by Ray Kennelly.
No. A yellow card, I think, there would have been quite sufficient.
Very much so.
So we now have 14 players against 14. It was a factor. I just felt perhaps that the referee might be forced into, but obviously after consultation with his umpires felt it was a sending off offence. It is level in every way possible in Dr. Hyde Park. Level on the scoreboard, level numerically in terms of playing players on the pitch. Francie Graham. Fergal O'Donnell being challenged by Pat Fallon. And to be honest, this game has been played in a very sporting manner. It's an isolated incident. That ball pumped in to the space, but Roscommon man unable to reach it.
Yes, but just going back to the referee, I think I credit the referee for having had a very good game today. And as you rightly said, he hadn't got the benefit of video replay to actually see what exactly happened there. But it seems the momentum now is with Roscommon. They're playing very well. The leadership is being provided, particularly, I think, at centre half back by Francie Graham.
Oh, beautiful play. Almost Seamus O'Neill. It looked magnificent from here. Don Canella. Jerry Lohan picked the ball off the ground. That's going to be a free from Mayo. Great running off the ball by Maurice Sheridan. There's acres of space around Hyde Park if David Nestor can give a crossfield ball, but there is now nobody available. He overcarried, so it's going to be a free out to Roscommon. The initiative just seems to be slightly favouring Roscommon at the moment.
Yes, they're playing the better football, the more composed football, and the big players are starting to play very well for them.
Seamus O'Neill. Pump it in long. Gary Ruan in control. Colin McMenamin playing a defensive midfield role. He seems to be very much spending a lot of time now down in his own half-back line. Pat Fallon up towards Marty McNicholas, and Michael Ryan seems to be getting the better of McNicholas, particularly in this second half. Francie Graham almost welcomes the challenge of a shoulder. Gary Cox, very good play by Roscommon, but the pass is a poor one, and good defending by Andy Roach. Alan Roach. Roscommon have it once more. Gary Cox. Inside is John Hanley. There's a chance here. Jerry Lohan. Roscommon have the goal. The big full forward from Kilbride, who has been the architect of many attacks for Roscommon, is now the finisher.
It has been coming, Marty, for quite a while, but a great piece of interplay and a marvellous finish by Jerry Lohan. But again, the mistake initially was by a Mayo defender giving a short ball and it being intercepted.
The lead in this Connacht final changing hands for the fourth time. The National Football League champions now have a challenge on their hands, which they, I'm sure, expected, but at times they will bemoan the lack of urgency, particularly in the attack. Jonathan Dunning is warming up along the sideline for Roscommon, and he, I'm sure, will be introduced in a moment. Normally plays in the forward, but the moves so far by John Tobin are working very well. And they did change their game plan in the sense of the running and keeping it short passing game.
Yes, we anticipated that, Marty, that they would shorten the game down, but their half-back line in midfield have been dominating over the last 20 minutes or so.
So Jonathan Dunning is on for centre half forward, the number 11, John Hanley. And interestingly, off camera, David Brady is now warming up again for Mayo. Crossfield ball, knocked down by Michael Moyles to his club mate and county mate, Kieran MacDonald. Chance of a point. The lethal left boot ensures that MacDonald registers his 4th point of the Connacht final. This was the sort of passion and indeed the standard of play that we hoped and anticipated before the match.
It's been a very enjoyable second half.
There's David Brady. He broke a bone in his wrist and of course missed the Sligo game, and his performances, as I saw during the winter, was vital to Mayo.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see him coming on. Big gamble by Mayo.
Morris Sheridan, David Nestor, Kieran MacDonald. Derek Thompson will watch this all the way. Uses Francie Graham. Off he goes again. Roscommon now affected by the same sort of mistakes that Mayo experienced a moment ago. There's a chance here. Michael Moyles coming down on goals. Chance of a goal, and Derek Thompson saves. This will enhance Mayo's frustration. Michael Moyles, not known for his goal scoring, more for his midfield ability, drives it at Thompson, and the goalkeeper saved well.
Good save from Derek Thompson, even you know, there's a narrow angle for Michael Moyles to be shooting at, but a very, very good save.
Changes in the Don Canellan seems to be in trouble, and Dr. Martin Daly escorting him off the sideline and having a word with John Tobin as Roscommon will continue to play with just 14 men. Morris Sheridan going to take this 45. Don Canellan has gone back in again, although Alan Nolan, who started the match in Tuam, is warming up. Here's Morris Sheridan. Hits that to the left and wide. They really needed a score out of all that sequence. 10th wide of the game for Mayo. And there'll be a big cheer in a moment because David Brady is in fact going to be introduced. And Marty McNicholas seems to be the player that's going to be called off for Mayo. And Marty McNicholas, who had a very good first half, but has been well bottled up by Michael Ryan in the second. I don't honestly think McNicholas will have any complaints.
Certainly he hasn't had the same impact in the second half, but the supply hasn't been going into him that was going in the first half.
Alan Nolan is also being introduced, and it looks like they are going to take off Don Cadellan, who has of course been plagued by injuries for some time. The breaking ball inside. Derek Thompson comes off his line. and uses Michael Ryan. Dennis Gavin. Roscommon superior really at the moment. Down towards Jonathan Dunning. Can't get the ball back to a colleague. Fouls, and the initiative swings back to Mayo. Morris Sheridan. They need a point out of this, surely. And he sends it over the bar. His 4th point of the match. 4 minutes extra time has been announced here.
It's interesting, when Mayo and Roscommon met before in 89 and 91, those finals went to a replay, so who knows?
The kick out by Derek Thompson. Ball comes out for Conor Kennelly. Over towards Gary Cox. Roscommon, I'm sure, will be just happy now to hold possession. Coming up to the full time in this match. But of course, we do have that 4 minutes extra time added on. We're now into injury time, officially. David Brady powering his way through the centre field challenges. It's a good ball up towards David Nestor. John White, powerful in the fist down towards Conor Kennelly. Kieran MacDonald coming in to challenge. Francie Graham. Roscommon will be very happy to just hold possession. Seamus O'Neill, he was too slow. David Brady breaks through. He wants to feed Nestor. It's a chance for Nestor, and it's a goal! David Nestor brings Mayo back into the Connacht Championship, and perhaps the lifting of the Nestor Trophy for the 40th time in their history.
Well, we said it was a gamble bringing on David Brady, but it certainly is a gamble that has worked, because a great piece of awareness by him to set up Nestor here, and Nestor on his weaker left foot sticks it beyond Thompson. Great score.
Now the pressure is back on Roscommon. They need to score 2 points to level this tie. And they just have about 2.5 minutes. It may have been a dull, almost boring first half, but it's been a most enjoyable, pulsating second half. Pat Holmes, the man who has guided Mayo to a National Football League title. Is he about to achieve a double? Kieran MacDonald. David Nestor. Sending that ball in. John White is pulled down, and that's going to be a free out to Roscommon.
Come on, Mayo. Tight. Tight.
Gary Cox.
Get the challenge in.
Still Gary Cox.
Tackle it, come on.
Flicking it out. And that's going to be a free or a sideline ball.
Pull it across. Pull it across. Back it up.
Alan Nolan with the ball. Nigel Deneen could well be reintroduced in yet another dramatic move by John Tobin. This is Roscommon's 5th sub, but it depends on whether or not Michael Ryan is able to continue. Again, there's an injury to Michael Ryan, and the referee has halted play to make sure that the cornerback is able to continue, or else make the substitution.
It possibly could be said, actually, Marty, that Mayo's experienced players and the fact that they've been here on a number of occasions in the late 90s has made the difference if they win this game. The likes of Nestor, Morris Sheridan, David Brady, Kieran MacDonald, all have been here before this, new to Roscommon, and maybe it was the difference.
Well, let's see how this unfolds. It's Jonathan Dunning. Trevor Mortimer is back there as a half-back. They have to score 2 points. Perhaps they should have gone for the point there, but they have a chance here. It's Conor Kennelly flicking it across. They're queuing up. They're fisting it in and kept off. And the referee has given a free out. It is David Brady that's in there again. Roscommon haven't scored since their goal in the 63rd minute, and certainly have experienced an amount of pressure since Mayo gambled with David Brady in particular, and the introduction of David Nestor to an attack that was just a little bit lethargic and lacking urgency, as you said.
Very much. That little bit of an injection, particularly with Nestor, has made a big difference up front. But in the National League final and in the game against Sligo, it was their late burst that actually won them the game, and the same thing seems to be happening today.
Kick out by Peter Burke. Surely time is running out for Roscommon. Morris Sheridan, plenty of space. The overlap is provided by one Colin McMenamin. Great block down by Fergal O'Donnell, literally taken off McMenamin's boot. Roscommon have to go for a goal if they're to win their 19th Connacht Championship. Pat Fallon, James Nallen, David Brady, an intelligent ball. Over towards David Nestor, who tried to be too fancy. And that's going to be a sideline ball for Roscommon. 5 minutes of injury time almost played now since the announcement of 4 extra minutes. There can't be much left. Well caught by Jonathan Dunning. 3 Mayo players converging it. There are plenty of Roscommon players available. One is the point scorer against Galway, Dennis Gavin. Can possibly Roscommon get a goal here? Oh, what a finish! Roscommon on the 5th minute of injury time score an incredible winner. Remarkable. Amazing.
That is a fantastic goal, a great credit to Roscommon. Michael Ryan from the cornerback position came up and scored that, and if that's the winner, that certainly is deserved, because they've refused to lie down.
This team believed in themselves since John Tobin took it over. It's all over. What a way to win a Connacht Championship. What a dramatic second half. The National Football League champions Mayo have been absolutely shell-shocked at the last kick of the game. Roscommon win the Connacht Championship. Fabulous scenes in Hyde Park. They haven't won the Connacht Championship since 1991, but Mayo are devastated. An enthralling second half. And once again, Roscommon, who produced an amazing performance against Galway, have now produced an amazing winner.
Yes,
Dennis Gavin.
It was Dennis Gavin, not Michael Ryan, but fair play to him. He came up, he knew it was all or nothing, and he stuck the ball like a quality forward would do it, never mind the cornerback. And you must credit them. They kept plugging, and they deserved to get the winner in the end.
Here's the full-time score. Roscommon 2 goals and 10 points. Mayo 112. It looked like Mayo had it. Dennis Gavin came forward. He scored a point, a great point against Galway and Tuam. Came forward into an attacking role and scored an unbelievable winner. This was what we wanted. This is what Gaelic football was about in the second half. Forget about the first half. The second half will be talked about for some time.
Yeah, it's a marvellous second half and very, very enjoyable. A lot of open football, in particular in the 20 minutes. Maybe the sending off, maybe brought players to their senses. But certainly we had something to remember from the last 20 minutes of this game.
Yes, indeed. Amazing scenes in Hyde Park here. And Roscommon people right in front of us in the commentary box are just shell-shocked. Tears flowing from the eyes as Roscommon win their 19th Connacht Championship title and their first since 1991.
Yes, there's an unleashing of passion here and celebration, the likes that we haven't seen in a while, and fair dues to them. I must say, I thought they had leaders on the field when it was needed during the second half, particularly from their centre half back, Francie Graham. Even though he's struggling a little bit in Kieran MacDonald, who scored 4 points from play, he continued to drive his players forward. And that self-belief and refusal to panic and the willingness to keep playing until the final whistle is ultimately what won the game for them. Mayo will be sickened by this. They gave a great performance in the second half. but the cup as it there belongs to Roscommon on the day.
Roscommon, Connacht champions 2001 for the 19th time in their history. And Fergal O'Donnell, the victorious captain. Great scenes in Roscommon, much to talk about, and I'm sure our analysts will have plenty to say. But first, we'll take a commercial break. Huh?